If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. It's starting to feel like deja vu in Cleveland, and not in the best way. Once again, the Browns are facing a glaring hole at wide receiver, one they seem to ignore completely during the NFL draft. Not a single pick was used on a receiver, not one. And if fans were hoping free agency would bring in some fresh talent, well, aside from the gamble on Deontay Johnson, who comes with more baggage than a red-eye flight, that hope quickly fizzled out. Now the Browns find themselves in the same old position, a potential playoff roster, but a shaky, uncertain receiving core. And the worst part? The market has just about dried up. We're not talking about choosing between steak or lobster here. It's more like choosing between cold leftovers. Unless Cleveland pulls off something unexpected, this offense is about to lean heavily on Jerry Jeudy and a whole lot of question marks behind him. Now, here's where things get a little weird. When you think of solutions for this kind of problem, you expect the front office to be on the phones scouring the league, looking for a diamond in the rough or maybe swinging a late trade. But in this case, it's not Andrew Berry stirring the pot. It's former Browns cornerback Hanford Dixon, a voice respected by the Dawg Pound faithful, stepping up and suggesting something that, frankly, no one expected. Bring back Amari Cooper. Yes, that Amari Cooper. The one who, just last season, seemed to drift away from Cleveland with little fanfare and even less production. It's a move that sounds as uncomfortable as inviting your ex to Thanksgiving dinner, but maybe, just maybe, it makes sense. The Browns know Cooper. Cooper knows the Browns. And he's still out there, surprisingly, just waiting for a call. It's wild to think about, because we're only 2 seasons removed from Cooper absolutely balling out in Cleveland. Let's not forget 72 catches, 1,250 yards, 5 touchdowns. That performance earned him his 5th Pro Bowl nod, and he was easily the Browns' most reliable weapon on the outside. Fans embraced him. Quarterbacks leaned on him. He was without question a WR1. But like so many stories in the NFL, things changed fast. The following year, Cleveland shipped him off to Buffalo midway through the season in a move that many still don't fully understand. It wasn't performance-driven, at least not at first. It felt more like a cost-saving maneuver or a way to shake things up. But whatever the logic was, it didn't work out for anyone involved. Cooper's 2024 season was rough. Let's just call it what it was. In 14 games split between the Browns and the Bills, he managed just 44 receptions for 547 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's not just a step back. That's a free fall compared to what he's capable of. He never found a rhythm in Buffalo, and before that, things were already unraveling in Cleveland. It was the worst statistical season of his career. And when you're on the wrong side of 30 in the NFL, that kind of decline raises red flags fast. Still, for teams like the Browns who are desperate for a proven target, it's hard to ignore the name value and history. Cooper's not washed, at least not yet. But he's got to prove it, and the Browns might be his best shot at doing just that. Of course, there's another layer here, and it's not just about numbers, it's about the business side of the game. Let's rewind to last offseason when Amari Cooper was reportedly pushing for a long-term extension from the Browns. The front office didn't budge. They held firm, and looking back now, they probably made the right call, especially considering how 2024 played out. But these things don't always end amicably. Word around the league suggests there may be some lingering resentment from Cooper's camp. That kind of tension can sour negotiations fast. So even if the Browns are willing to explore a reunion, there's no guarantee Cooper would even entertain it. Pride is a powerful thing, especially when you feel like a team gave up on you. But football is funny like that. Sometimes opportunity and desperation collide in strange ways. The Browns need help, and Cooper needs a chance. There aren't many places left for him to land where he'd immediately be the top option. In Cleveland, he'd be more than that. He'd be a potential savior for an offense that's dangerously close to stalling out. And for all the history and all the drama, Cooper still knows the system, knows the city, and knows the expectations. That's more than can be said for most of the free agents left on the market. So maybe, just maybe, there's a crack in the door. And if both sides are willing to put egos aside, it could make sense. Still, it wouldn't be a risk-free move. Cooper's decline in 2024 wasn't just about usage or bad quarterback play. He looked slower. He struggled to create separation. For a receiver who's made a career out of clean route running and crisp footwork, that's a concern. The Browns would have to trust that it was a fluke, not a trend. They'd also have to trust that Cooper is motivated, truly motivated, to prove people wrong. Because the moment he walks back into that locker room, all eyes will be on him. Fans won't accept anything less than production. And for a team with playoff dreams, there's no room for passengers. One thing's for sure, the Browns can't afford to do nothing. Jerry Jeudy is a solid player, but he's not a WR1, not yet anyway. And beyond him, it's a mishmash of unproven young guys and veteran stopgaps. That's not going to cut it in a division that features teams like the Bengals and Ravens, who are stacked at the skill positions. Cleveland's defense is elite. The run game is strong, but Deshaun Watson needs someone he can trust on the outside, especially in clutch situations. That's what Cooper provided in his prime, and even if he's not the same guy, he might still be the best option available, so now we wait. Will the Browns swallow their pride and make the call? Will Cooper answer? If they do, these are the types of storylines that make the NFL so compelling. It's not just about the X's and O's. It's about the human drama behind every decision. It's about second chances, redemption arcs, and the business of winning. Cooper might not be the flashiest move, but he's familiar. He's tested. And for a Browns team walking a fine line between contender and pretender, that familiarity might be exactly what they need to steady the ship. And if it happens, if Amari Cooper walks back through those doors in Berea, don't be surprised. If he comes with a chip on his shoulder, the kind of chip that could turn a sour ending into one final powerful act. Because in the NFL, uncomfortable reunions sometimes make for the best stories. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because we have just witnessed one of the most earth-shattering moves in recent NFL history. Yes, you heard it right. The Cleveland Browns have pulled the trigger on a blockbuster trade that has sent shockwaves throughout the entire league. Before even stepping onto the field for preseason games, the Browns finalized a massive quarterback swap, acquiring none other than Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins. That's right, folks. Tua is officially headed to Cleveland and what many are calling a franchise-altering decision. This move has completely flipped the quarterback market upside down and could change the trajectory of both franchises for years to come. I mean, we're talking about a young quarterback with proven playoff potential now landing on a Browns roster that's already stacked with talent. Let's dive into all the juicy details, what this means for both teams, and why this trade is sparking so much debate. The Browns, long starved for consistent quarterback play, made it abundantly clear this offseason that they were ready to swing for the fences. Despite having Deshaun Watson on the roster, questions around his performance, injuries, and off-field issues have kept the franchise in a constant state of uncertainty. Cleveland's front office evidently decided that they could not pass up the opportunity to bring in a dynamic younger quarterback with a clean slate and a boatload of potential. Tua Tagovailoa, after all, is coming off a solid season with the Dolphins, showing poise, accuracy, and leadership, qualities that the Browns believe can help push them over the hump in a very competitive AFC North. This is a gamble, no doubt about it, but it's also a signal to the rest of the league. Cleveland is tired of waiting and is ready to win now. Now, let's talk about what this trade looked like from a negotiation standpoint. Sources close to the deal have revealed that the Browns have been quietly pursuing Tua for weeks, maybe even months, working behind the scenes to orchestrate what is now one of the most surprising trades of the decade. The package they sent to Miami reportedly includes multiple first-round picks, a second-rounder, and a player to be named later, rumored to be a defensive starter. That's a hefty price, but Cleveland is betting that securing a long-term answer at quarterback is worth every asset they've parted with. Miami, on the other hand, clearly decided that this was the right time to move on, perhaps signaling confidence in their backup options or a larger plan in the works. For Tua Tagovailoa himself, this trade represents both a massive challenge and a huge opportunity. Moving from the sunny beaches of Miami to the cold, often unforgiving environment of Cleveland is no small transition. But Tua is known for his mental toughness, his work ethic, and his resilience, qualities that will serve him well as he adjusts to a new system and a new city. He'll be taking over an offense that boasts playmakers like Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and Nick Chubb, assuming Chubb is back to full health. The Browns have also invested heavily in their offensive line, meaning Tua should finally have the protection he needs to stay upright and fully showcase his skills as a precision passer and field general. From the Dolphins' perspective, this move is equally monumental. Miami fans are undoubtedly shocked, perhaps even furious to see their starting quarterback shipped off just as he seemed to be hitting his stride. But front offices are paid to make cold, calculated decisions, and it appears the Dolphins believe they can pivot in a new direction. Some insiders are suggesting that Miami might be preparing to make their own blockbuster move for another quarterback, perhaps eyeing a high-profile veteran or even positioning themselves for next year's draft class. Whatever the case may be, the Dolphins now hold a treasure trove of draft capital, giving them the flexibility to reshape their roster dramatically over the next few seasons. League-wide reaction to this trade has been absolutely electric. Analysts are split down the middle, with some praising the Browns for their aggressiveness and vision, while others are warning that giving up so much for a quarterback with an injury history could backfire spectacularly. Social media has been flooded with hot takes, memes, and emotional farewells from Dolphins fans, while Browns supporters are cautiously optimistic that this move finally ends decades of quarterback instability. It's rare that a move this big happens before preseason even begins, but it just goes to show how the modern NFL operates. Fast, ruthless, and always looking for the next big thing. Looking at the AFC North, the stakes have never been higher. With Joe Burrow leading the Bengals, Lamar Jackson helming the Ravens, and the Steelers always lurking as a competitive wildcard, the Browns knew they couldn't afford to stand pat. Bringing in Tua gives Cleveland a legitimate shot to not only compete within the division, but to make a serious playoff push, maybe even a Super Bowl run if everything clicks. The Browns' defense, anchored by Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, remains one of the league's best, and now they've complemented that with a potentially elite offense. The pieces are all there. It's just a matter of how quickly Tua can acclimate and whether he can stay healthy over the grind of a full NFL season. Let's not forget about the human side of this story. Tua built deep relationships in Miami, both within the locker room and the community, and leaving that behind won't be easy. Players like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle publicly expressed their admiration for Tua and their disappointment in seeing him go. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, fans and teammates are already rolling out the red carpet, eager to welcome their new quarterback and start building chemistry. The NFL is a business first and foremost, but these moves always carry personal consequences. For the athletes involved, Tua now faces the pressure of living up to enormous expectations while also adapting to a completely new environment. As training camp approaches, all eyes will be on Cleveland to see how Tua integrates into Kevin Stefanski's offense. The coaching staff is reportedly thrilled about the possibilities, envisioning a more dynamic passing attack that leverages Tua's quick release, mobility, and football IQ. Early reports suggest that Stefanski and his team plan to install a scheme tailored specifically to Tua's strengths, which could result in an offense that looks very different from the one Browns fans have seen in recent years. On the practice field, we'll be watching every throw, every snap, and every interaction as this new chapter for the Browns begins in earnest. So, what does this all mean for the 2025 NFL season? In short, it sets up one of the most intriguing storylines in recent memory. Can Tua thrive in Cleveland and lead the Browns to their first championship since the days of Jim Brown? Or will this trade become yet another cautionary tale of a team gambling big on a quarterback and falling short? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure. The Cleveland Browns have made their intentions crystal clear. They are all in. And for NFL fans everywhere, this is the kind of drama and excitement that keeps us glued to the screen week in and week out. Stay tuned because this story is just getting started. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!